Welcome to Ninja Arcanist Report, and today we are talking about the New York Rangers season preview now. So, this is the season preview. We have many things to talk about, what this team is going to be like, and let's get into it. So, we'll start on the 17 to 18 stats on this side here. I'd like to talk about that in the 18-19 stats, kind of compare those two seasons, compare what is in store for the upcoming 2019-2020 season. Let's get into it. So, 17-18 season was the first year after 16-17 season making the playoffs, beating the Montreal Canadiens in round 1, and basically they won 4-2. Game 6 they won, and they moved on to Ottawa, and they looked pretty good in the beginning, and then Ottawa took over. Ottawa went to the conference final, and then Pittsburgh won, and Game 7 double OT, and Penguins won over Nashville, right? But talking about that, ever since that year, they did not make the playoffs. This was the first year, in the 17-18 season was the first year they did not make the playoffs. This showed that they were going into a rebuild. They were 32, 36, and 14 with 78 points, no playoff. This started the rebuild. Now, at the deadline, they got rid of multiple players. They got rid of McDonough. They got rid of Nash. They got draft picks from that. They got many draft picks from those guys, and just from Boston, from Rick Nash and the Tampa Bay Lightning, getting these guys, getting all these guys together, definitely. And also, they traded Stepan and Antti to the Arizona Coyotes for D'Angelo and a 9th round pick, and that 9th round pick is Elias Anderson. They picked, so definitely, they were trying to get out and go into a rebuild. So the 18-19 season, we knew coming into that season was going to not be a playoff year, potentially. We knew this year was going to kind of be low expectation. The team didn't started its rebuild. They even wrote out a letter saying, we are going to start our rebuild. And yes, the 18-19 stats were 34, 39, and 9 with 77 points, so one less. There's not really a difference with that. No playoffs, finishing the rebuild. Now they're not in a rebuild, hopefully, anymore. That's what they say. They're not in a rebuild. They're a team that's trying to go for the playoffs. That's what they want. And after, that 18-19 season, they're kind of like, okay, what's going to happen? Hopefully the draft lottery, we can have something good. And, they were originally going to be around, 8th or something, I forgot, originally. But then they got a little stall. They got missed. And they're like, ooh, yes. The Rangers like, yes. We're going to be in the top 3. And then Chicago, and then the whole thing happened. And then Chicago got picked 3rd. And the Rangers like, ooh, we can go for 1st. And then the Devils got picked 1st. But the Rangers got 2nd. That's absolutely fantastic for them. They got Kaapo Kakko. If you get either Hughes or Kakko, you still can have fantastic players. So I'm sure the Rangers are not dissatisfied with this pick at all. Looking at the ones who are new is Kakko. Kaapo Kakko was the one who got picked 2nd overall in the 2019 draft. Vitaly Kravtsov was the one that got picked last year in the draft, around 9th. Giuseppe was a UFA, signed with the New York Rangers this year. Trouba was traded from Winnipeg to the Rangers as an RFA, right? And in exchange for Puink. And in the first round, went to Winnipeg. It was originally Winnipeg's whole time with the whole thing with Brendan Lemieux, all that stuff. And then we have with the whole Kevin Hayes thing. It's all messed up there, right? And then Adam Fox went from Carolina to the Rangers. Didn't want to sign in Carolina. Not even in Calgary in the beginning, so that's why they traded him to Carolina, and Carolina's like, I can't do him either. And he signed with the Rangers, so potentially he can play next year. And we also have Panarin, the biggest UFA on the market with Bobrovsky, on July 1st last year. Well, this year, right? Definitely those are some great new guys coming into the Rangers to really make this team potential playoff team. And the ones who left was Jimmy Vesey. He went for a 2nd and 3rd round pick to the Buffalo Sabres. Claeson's still UFA. He's still out there. Gilmore signed with the Buffalo Sabres. He's in the Rochester Americans now, and maybe play with Buffalo also. And Neil Pionk was the one that got traded for Pionk in the first round to Winnipeg for Trouba, and that first round was Vinny Heinola that Winnipeg picked. And then Shaq and Cook was bought out, so he is now with the Tampa Bay Lightning for a 1 year, $1.75 million contract for 1 year. So let's get into now our forwards, and I like to talk about our forwards now because I don't put contracts up and how much points they put anymore. I just want to talk about how they mesh together, how they're going to do really well together. So that first line will be Panarin, Zibanejad, Buchnevich. Definitely Buchnevich and Kakko will fight it out. Even maybe Kravtsov too for that first line right wing. Right now it looks like Buchnevich will have that favor over them right now. But Buchnevich's a great Russian winger, definitely on that right side. Then you have Zibanejad, a great young defenseman, center down the middle. Guess I don't know my positions, right? And then you have Panarin, the left winger, absolutely with an $11.5 million contract. A little overpaid in my opinion, but he is a fantastic goal scorer. What he did in Chicago, not in just Chicago, he played way better with the Blue Jackets, of course, because he was younger. Now, he had a couple years with the Blue Jackets more than the Blackhawks. But both teams were fantastic with Panarin, and now Rangers have Panarin. Panarin wanted to go to a big city. Definitely, this was obvious one we thought of in the beginning of the season, like Rangers, big city, big lights, you know what I mean? Literally, and Panarin likes it here. Definitely with the Rangers now, he wants to play for this team. He likes this team that is going to be contending for a playoff spot. Not just that, a young team, and a team that can hopefully in a couple of years win the Stanley Cup he wants, you know what I mean? So definitely that's what he wants. Then you have Kreider, Hedel, and Kakko. Definitely Kreider's in the trade bait whole thing. The thing about Kreider, I would not want to trade him until the deadline. Why do I say that? Because if you're in the playoffs and you're doing really well in the playoffs, I think Kreider should stay with the Rangers. But if you're out of the playoffs and it looks like you're not going to make the playoffs around February 20th, then I think it's time to trade Kreider for picks. But if they're in the playoffs, right, and doing well, keep Kreider, definitely. If you have to lose him as the UFA, lose him. But if he's doing well with the team, use him. If he's not doing well, then I would use him as, trade deadline or maybe during the season, something. Hedel, it sounds like Sheetal almost. It looks like Sheetal, but it's Hedel. Philip Hedel's a great guy. We saw a couple of goals what he does. He crashes to the net trying to get a goal in. Definitely good center. Definitely we can see something in there. Kakko, we're going to see some good stuff from him. A great player on that right side. Absolutely, we saw some good stuff from the World Juniors. Definitely we saw some from the world champion, the Nationals there, definitely. Then we have Demeskov, Strome, and Kravtsov. We have two wingers for Russian, Demeskov and Kravtsov. So you got some. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 3 Russians. 4, 5 Russians on the team. Two goaltenders. Georgiev and Storkin, that could be coming out pretty soon. And then Buchnevich, Kakko, and Kravtsov. So we got some good right wingers of that. Russian there. And then you have a left winger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Never mind, 6 players that are Russian on this team. But Kravtsov, we'll see how he does. Definitely he looks really good. A great Russian winger with Strome that actually played really well with the Rangers after not really playing well with the Oilers. Like, no one has played well with the Oilers except McDavid and Draisaitl. But except that, that's what I mean. And then Demeskov, he's really a streaky player. He'll score these goals and be like, the next month be like, did you ever hear of Demeskov? Oh yeah, he's on a right now he's pretty cold. Oh really? What happened? Who knows? And then you have Brennan Lemieux, Howden, and Fosk. Definitely Lemieux looks really good. Brennan Lemieux. Not more Lemieux. Howden and Fosk. Definitely that's pretty good. Fourth line. We can see some good stuff from them. And then some extra forwards that could potentially make the lineup or play a couple games here and there during the season. Looks like Bolesky, Elias Anderson. Elias Anderson, Neves, Mickegg, and Giuseppe. Those are guys I think will probably potentially play a couple games somewhere within the Rangers in the 1920-20 season. Some part of the season, I'm sure, will be somewhere. We'll see something, I'm sure. And then we have defense. Well, before I go on to the defense, I always forget this. Let's review the forwards now. I like the first line. There's great rush and some great young players with some great players. I think Panarin's going to definitely generate some great talent and kind of help out Buchnevich, Kakko, and Kravtsov, some young guys, to really help them become players they need to become. And let's go on to defense. We have Brady Shea and Trouba, Stahl, Fox, Delangelo, Smith, Haydick, and we have Radish. So looking at that, I like that first line there with Shea and Trouba. Trouba will look like he might put around 50 points. Of course, $7 million is a little too much for him, but he needs to show it, I guess. So around 50 points, definitely he was going to look really well. And this is a team he wants to play for now. Remember, he didn't want to really play for the Jets, and he still put up 50 points. So maybe even puts more, like 60. We'll see what happens there. Shea definitely looks like a young defenseman. He's still working out there. And then you have Mark Stahl, an older defenseman on that left side, a veteran defenseman. And I think he's really going to help out players like Fox, Delangelo, Shea. Not just that, but I think even forwards too, like Buchnevich, Kakko, Kravtsov, Howden, Anderson, Lemieux, those guys, Hedl. Definitely, those guys would definitely get helped out with Stahl, learning how to go through the ropes, how to win, what happens on a losing streak, how do we get out of that? How do we get to the playoffs? How do we get not just to the playoffs, but through the first round, second, third, to the final? He's done all of that. He hasn't won the Stanley Cup, but got to the final with 2014 with the Rangers versus LA. You know what I mean? And then you have Brendan Smith. I would keep him to a veteran defenseman to kind of help out that Fox troop. I think it's good to have a balanced view of older veterans and youngsters. You have too much youngsters who don't know what to do. Well, they know how to score and all that, but they don't know how to win in the NHL, how to experience stuff. So that's good to know too. And then on goalies, Lundqvist, Georgiev, and Storkin. Potentially Storkin can play next year. We can see some stuff probably from him. He'll probably play in the Hartford Wolfpack, potentially in AHL. Maybe he gets a little job, maybe Lundqvist. Usually around January, February, Lundqvist takes like a week off just to kind of keep his body together because he's going to be 38 during the season. So definitely, maybe Storkin gets definitely a little time to playing goal with the Rangers to see how it feels to take over Lundqvist's job pretty soon with Georgiev. Definitely there. And then you have, before I finish up, Georgiev and Storkin, will really battle out for that backup goaltending spot. But I think also, Georgiev played really well down the stretch. I thought he did fantastic. So I do see some great potential from Georgiev and taking over Lundqvist's spot. And I think it's more going to be split and Georgiev taking more time over Lundqvist. Definitely, we can see some good stuff from that. And then Lundqvist will just help out the youngsters in goal. And not just that, but defense and forwards too. So let's talk about now, what do they still need as a team? And I think there's two things. I think they might need a third line center or second line center. And I think you're not going to really know how this team's going to do until the team is basically, I think, to play games, because you're not going to know how, you might be like, during a couple of games, you might be doing a preseason and be like, that defense core there, we need a little bit more help on that right side or that left side. We need a forward, we need a down middle center, like a third or fourth pairing defenseman, third or fourth line center. Oh, maybe we need a winger. Oh yeah, we could help. Need help on that right wing. Too many young players on that side. Maybe we should get someone. Kind of see, because I think I need to just win or just play games to figure out what the problem might be. If there is any problems. If there's no problems, just go with this team. And this team looks very good and promising for the future, not just young players. They got a couple older ones, but they still got a great rebuild, and this is the best rebuild right now. It's the fastest rebuild ever since Toronto Maple Leafs rebuild too. But definitely we can see some good stuff from this Rangers next year. Potential playoffs? Yeah, I think a wild card, potentially. But we can see some good stuff from this team and good scoring. And Panarin's really going to bring that good scoring together. Actually, 7 Russian players. I forgot Panarin. Man, how could I forget that? So Panarin has some great Russian guys to be with too, and they have a familiar background. So they'll definitely have some great players to have. And thank you for watching. If there's any Chalk News Report, like the video, do the bell, comment, share. Right? And I'll see you next video. Let's get to 150 subs or 109. Thank you for subscribing, and see you next video.